Composition is the arrangement of visual elements. It is very important to create a visually appealing work of art. A good composition has a focal point and can move the viewer's eye around an image. There are infinite types of compositions you can create, but there are guidelines to help you create the best one possible. I will be using famous paintings as examples. Before you start composing an image, think about what you want to express. Different compositions will make the viewer feel different emotions, so make sure the feel of the composition matches what you want the viewer to feel. The rule of thirds is often used in photography, but it also applies to drawings and paintings. Divide an image into thirds. The areas around where the lines intersect are a good placement for your focal point. This is a simple rule, yet it makes a great difference if you use it when composing an image. Symmetry and balance are also an important element to keep in mind. To create a satisfying image, you need to have a sense of balance. Heavier visual weight should be placed closer to the center of your image, while lighter weight towards the side. This can be achieved through symmetrical or asymmetrical balance. Symmetrical balance is a composition that is even on both sides and gives a feeling of calm and unity. Having a central subject can create a feeling of authority and grabs attention. Asymmetrical balance is uneven, but places its visual weight as to still have a sense of balance. This can be used to create a more interesting dynamic. Zoom in and out on your composition. You may find that you like something closer up so that there is more focus on the subject matter. You don't need to fit the full figure in an image, and cropping off parts of it may even help you focus on the important parts. You may also find that you like it more zoomed out as it creates a feeling of spaciousness. Tangents are areas of an image that touch but do not overlap. This can be confusing and uneasy to look at because it makes it difficult to tell which part comes in front. Overlap the parts to avoid this feeling and create more depth. You can use different shapes and arrangement to provoke various feelings in the viewer. Horizontal lines are used to create a calm feeling, while vertical lines can be used to produce a feeling of energy or growth. Diagonals create a sense of movement and make an image more dynamic. Circles make a good focal point as they catch the viewer's attention. Triangular shapes make an image have a more stable feel. Squares and rectangles give a feeling of sturdiness and regularity. In addition, make sure to vary the shapes and sizes. Having an image with elements that contrast in proportion tend to make an image more dynamic and appealing. Contrast is the difference between art elements such as color, light, shape, and texture. Use contrast to your advantage to make certain parts of your image stand out as a focal point. For example, you can illuminate certain areas to bring attention to them, while leaving the less important parts in darkness. Complementary colors are colors that are the opposite of each other on the color wheel and create strong contrast. These can be a useful tool to make certain parts stand out. Similarly, you can show contrast between shapes. You can break repetition of shape with an irregular shape. This contrast will make the irregular shape stand out as a focal point. Now let's try using these concepts to create a composition. I want to create a dynamic image of a character jumping for an apple. So this is the first image you would probably think of. It is a very straightforward side view. It doesn't necessarily feel dynamic or that compelling. Let's try to use some of the concepts from this video to spice it up. The first step when creating an interesting composition is to draw thumbnails. These thumbnails will include the different ideas you have for your composition so that you can choose the best idea. Start by making a couple of rectangles that are about the same ratio as your paper. I've decided that I want a horizontal image, but you can make it any way you want. Usually, I like to draw thumbnails on paper, but I will be doing these ones digitally so that it is clearer for you to see. Your thumbnails shouldn't be super detailed or clean, as they should just consist of the basic form and shapes. Mine are very messy, but that is because I'm just looking at composition. I will polish the thumbnail that I decide to use for the final illustration. Remember, you can try cropping a thumbnail if you notice a smaller composition in the picture you like. When creating separate compositions of the same subject, imagine different viewpoints. Viewpoint is an important element to consider when composing an image. Viewing a subject from a lower viewpoint can make them appear powerful or intimidating, while doing the opposite, viewing them from above, can make them feel more weak or innocent. Choosing an unusual viewpoint can create a feeling of interest as it introduces a new way of seeing. Try to play around with Viewpoint when composing an image. Once you put all of your ideas on paper, you can choose which one to use. I like to choose my final composition by crossing off the thumbnails that I do not like as much until eventually I have one left. Since I wanted the image to show movement, I placed the elements on diagonals. I also divided the image into thirds to better place my focal points. I decided that an above viewpoint is most appropriate from this subject matter as I want to make the apple the focus point. The apple is round, which already makes it a good focal point, and by choosing an angle where the viewer is closer to the apple, the perspective makes the apple appear larger than it actually is. This angle also allows for the viewer to clearly see the girl's face, making it easier to empathize with her character. Even while polishing the image, I still make some changes to my initial idea. I overlapped the tree to show that it was above the girl. I am also adding color to the image as color plays a role in composition. The early stage is a good time to test your colors and select a color scheme. I want the apple to be the main focal point, so I will make it red and the leaves green. Red and green are complementary colors, making the apple stand out. I will also use reddish colors in the girl so she pops against the green but does not take attention away from the apple. And that's it, the final composition of my illustration. I am now ready to go more into detail and do some shading and textures. Use the concepts in this video to help you create a more visually appealing image, and you will notice an improvement in the way your final artworks turn out. Thanks for watching!